Hi, I'm contestant number 30-0029-00033758, and I am doing the Economic Research Individual Contest. This is my paper, and this is my works cited. So, as you already know, my contest is the Economic Research Individual, and the prompt for this was to use Keynesian models to analyze the effects of COVID-19 on unemployment and the response that the government had in regards to it. I chose this contest for a few different reasons. Some of them are I enjoy economics a lot, and I love learning about the processes that the government takes to allow relief to occur during hardships. I really enjoy writing, which served me quite well during the paper, and then the topic also seemed to be quite interesting. The process of writing the paper really can be broken down into 4 steps. They are research, drafting, revision, and finalization and submission. The research was quite easy. There are so many different sources right now that have published either articles or studies about relief and the happenings during the pandemic. There was really just a surplus, and it made the research process very streamlined and fast. The drafting step, honestly, is probably the most important step out of all because it sets up your paper for success or failure. Really, depending on how you structure it in the beginning, it can completely change the outcome of a paper. This posed for many difficulties because really you got to put in a lot of thought when you're doing this part, and it took many different attempts, which that's how the drafting process works. The next part was revision. So once I had it drafted, I allowed people to read through the contents and pick out what they found was incorrect grammatically or the wording wasn't proper. And these people were my friends and family, and then I did personal work on it. I read through it myself and then found all the mistakes, rechecked to make sure it met all the requirements on the rubric, and went through the formatting process. From here, I really just finalized and checked the word count, rechecked the requirements, and then submitted it to the website. So the prompt for the paper was, as you know, analyzing the effects of COVID-19 on unemployment in the US. The requirements of this paper were that you had to meet a certain amount of pages along with sticking to the prompt. So here's the first model that I found really demonstrates the hardships of COVID. It's a breakdown from 1950 all the way to recent time that shows the rates of unemployment in the US. And even in other economic hardship times, such as the Great Recession, there was a spike of roughly 10%, which is really dwarfed by the 15% that we reached during the pandemic. That percentage really just goes to show the severity to which the pandemic caused in the economy. This is the second model I found. It's a breakdown of the different industries in the US and how hard they were hit by the pandemic. The most hard hit being the food and travel, which you can see on this at 39.2% of the unemployed were in that industry. I reached out to a couple outside contacts who were in this industry as business owners, and they let me know just how hard it's been for them. There was one that said that they had not received any business for 4 months, which without government relief, they would not still be in business. So the reason for this is due to the fact that with the restrictions of the pandemic, where you can't be in person, you can't go on trips and stuff, these travel industries and these food places are really struggling because people cannot come even if they'd like to. So without the government relief, these places would not be able to stay in business. These programs such as the Payment Protection Program or the SBA Debt Relief Program, they really have saved these businesses during these times. So the CARES Act, which is one of the largest government relief bills in history, chartered so many different programs that have allowed for relief. And although these programs have acted as a bandage, they haven't truly fixed the problem because the pandemic is still occurring. They've allowed for businesses to stay open. The one that I'm really going to focus on here is the Small Business Administration Debt Relief Program. What they do is they pay 6 months worth of debt off of your business while you cannot afford to do it. So far they've paid $17 billion in payments, which really is quite a large amount, and they've helped many businesses through this program. The third model is a breakdown of those who have claimed unemployment in the pandemic throughout the different countries, with the US being the greatest by many percents. These unemployment claims are due to a multiple things, one being the fact that we have a large amount of cases, but also the fact that there are many people who found it quite easy to claim this. The US really streamlined the process of claiming unemployment during the pandemic and made it accessible to so many people. This is my works cited. These are just the sources I used for research on this portion of it, the presentation, and the rest of the resources are on the works cited page of my paper. Thanks.
Okay. What you consider to be an acceptable unemployment rate?
Although in a perfect world there would not be any unemployment, that's an unrealistic standard. So the standard of unemployment would be roughly 4 to 6% in a normal business cycle economy. And although that's still 4 to 6% of the population being unemployed, it's optimal amounts for a strong economy.
What are some ideas to reduce the amount of unemployment right now?
So although the payment protection program isn't perfect, that's one of the biggest ways, because what it does is it allows for businesses to apply for it, and if accepted, the government pays for the employees' paychecks to keep them employed during the pandemic, even if the business can't afford it. That's just one of the many programs where it's allowed for employment to remain under control, and as the COVID cases spiked, unemployment was eased.
Was the government's response effective in stimulating the economy?
Yes and no. The government did a very good job at stimulating the economy through stuff such as the stimulus checks, unemployment pay, which initially worked, but a study found that a lot of the unemployment payment and the increase in that actually led to increases in personal savings and debt payment, which, although the stimulus checks were widely spent on extra experiences for people, which was good in stimulating local and global economies, the payment towards paying off debt was kind of counterintuitive to what the government's aims were in that sense. However, the government did do a quite good job in stimulating the economy through stimulus checks and other relief programs.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, let's say that 6 minutes and 29 seconds, but that also included 15 minutes here. 6 minutes and 20.
Wait, when you said also included 15, what do you mean?